I didn't actually plan to have a part two, but this is like part two of my armchair reaction. Um, it, I tell you, for some reason, I just can't stop thinking about it. I can't stop thinking about the things that Harry said about growing up in the Truman Show slash zoo. Yeah, the Truman Show slash zoo. I can't stop thinking about it. And the reason why it just perplexes me so much is that I, grew up with the same fantasy about what it's like to be royal, never realizing the pain and anguish that was on the other side of it. Prince Harry has educated us about things that we could have never simply learned from watching The Crown, because it's one thing to watch a dramatic reenactment or dramatization, docudrama of someone's life, but to hear that person put into words, coming from their own life and experience, coming from their heart, is something completely different. And I've spent the whole day thinking about it, and oh gosh, I'm looking for the words to describe how I feel. After the Oprah interview, it was an emotional release for a lot of people who have been trying to explain the Sussexes and trying to remind their friends and families that these are human beings too, and that something dreadful has happened. But people assume because of that gilded cage that they escaped. Well, it couldn't have been so bad. But it was, and it is, and it continues to be. And I'm really disturbed for the Cambridge children, because out of sheer desperation to rebrand the family, they have put the kids front and center. That cannot be a good idea. That cannot be healthy for them. But it's not my call. And like it or not, they were born into this service for their country. I hope that from the discussion with Dax Shepard, that the model for raising royal children will change. I hope that model changes. I think that the amount of responsibility placed on those small, narrow, slender shoulders of a child is tremendous, and it can only cause more pain in the future. So Harry's trying to break this cycle of pain. I think I understand that right. I think he's trying to break this cycle of pain. There's so many things that Harry experienced in life that no one else outside of a senior royal would ever experience. Harry's life has been on the public stage, front and center, since birth, since conception. He was considered a senior royal. His brother was like way above the pecking order in terms of being in line for the throne. Harry was always pushed back further and further once William married and had children. And so after his children grow up, Prince William's children grow up, then what happens to Harry? What happens to his family? And I think that this really illuminates a situation that I have been saying for the longest. Harry had to get out of there. He had to go. Not only because of the constant abuse from the press, but because his expectation in life would have been one of the sidekick for his brother. And then he would have slowly been relegated to a more distant position, like, good God, like the Kents are holding for him. So why would you stay for that? The family needs to change that model. I don't really have such a strong emotional vested interest in that because the Sussexes are out of it, and I'm so glad for that. I'm so glad that Meghan and Archie and Harry are removed from that because it's unhealthy. And I don't know what it says about the public over there that so many people have sided with the royal family on this topic of, child rearing. It's archaic and it needs to stop. I don't know how it should change, but this pecking order that they have, I hope that William and Kate will do something different for their kids. Again, it's none of my business, but I'm very nervous for the Cambridge children because they are kids and they deserve a better life than what Harry and William suffered through. That should never happen again. But I'm just afraid that they haven't learned anything. They haven't learned anything from Diana. And I'm afraid that what's happened to Meghan and Harry, Charles doesn't seem inclined to change things. He doesn't protect the people closest to him during the worst times in their lives. He just retreats into duty and protocol. And so Harry has no choice but to speak out. It's his right. It's his lived experience. He was put on center stage for the world as a child. And so nobody in that family has the right, no one has the right to pick and choose when he decides that he wants to open up, when he decides to share his life. He's not sharing his life to build the brand Windsor. He's sharing his life so that nobody else, no one, suffers the way he has. 1 billion people, 2 billion people, was it, that watched him walking through the streets of London behind his mother's coffin. Thousands of people along the street wailing and crying that you don't even know. And that was the moment that everything changed for him when he lost his mother. And we were along for that ride, and we have been protective of him. Very protective of him. But I'm not sure that that his own family has protected him. So fortunately, his family is here with us in the U.S. and we'll continue to protect them. Anyway, I just had to get that off my chest because I'm still feeling something about the armchair expert, and I don't know. If something else, all I'm saying is don't be surprised if you don't hear from me about this topic again, because this just really blows my mind. It blows my mind. It just confirms so many things that I assumed, but I had no authority to say yes or no. You know what I mean? I had no authority to say that is really what's happening. So I'm just glad that Harry was able to express himself. Again, he has a right to do so. Also, for those that attempted to make a donation through the Patreon, I am so sorry. I put the wrong link. And you can see that I'm still kind of getting comfortable with the things that I'm doing. And I've been very busy working on content, and I have not paid enough attention to my Patreon. So after the anniversary video, I'm going to definitely make sure I straighten out that page because it is a mess. But the link is good, and if you choose to support me on the Patreon, then yes, the link is very much active, and I'm sure that the next time you see a link for me, it will be the proper link. And I'll in the future, I'll try to make sure that I keep that properly working, because the old link took you to like my private side of the page, but then of course you couldn't get into it because, you know, you don't have the window that I have. So yeah, anyway, sorry about that. Thank you so much for pointing that out to me. I guess I should say the initials, LW. Thank you for pointing that out to me. And yeah, so anyway, you guys, my mind is just racing with thoughts after this thing. So if I'm repeating myself, I do apologize. Thank you so much again. Thank you for making this channel a huge success for me. I mean, this just exceeds my expectations. I just wanted to get some things off my chest, and the community was the place that I knew I needed to turn, was to the Sussex Squad, because friends and family don't always understand why I'm so passionate about this, but you guys get me, or as they say in the movie, you complete me. Thank you so much. Anyway, I feel better getting that off my chest. I really do. Thanks, you guys.